What if the Warriors traded away Stephen Curry instead of Monta Ellis? What if they traded away their two-time MVP and first ever unanimous MVP? What if they traded away the leader to their 2015 championship team? Today we'll be looking at the possibility of the current NBA if Steph Curry would have been traded instead of Monta Ellis. So in the 2011 to 2012 season, Monta Ellis was traded to the Bucks in exchange for Andrew Bogut and Stephen Jackson. Ekpe Udoh and Kwame Brown also went to Milwaukee with Monta, but they weren't really a big part of this trade. Some people say that Steph was in trade discussions. Others say that Steph was never in trade discussions and Monta Ellis was always the guy that they were looking to trade. But today we're going to look at what if Steph Curry was in trade discussions and what if he was the one that got traded. So some questions we have to ask right off the bat are, would the Warriors still win an NBA championship? Would they have a 73-9 record, the best record in NBA history? Would Steph Curry still be an MVP and first ever unanimous MVP? Would the Cavs come back from a 3-1 lead on them, and would KD sign with them? So before I go into the what ifs of this video, I'm going to answer the question right off, no. And now we start off with the what ifs and why. So in the 2011 to 2012 season, Steph only played 26 games. And if he would have been traded to the Bucks, he wouldn't have made a big impact on their roster since he wasn't really a superstar at this time and he did only play 26 games. The Warriors would finish about the same because, again, Steph Curry wasn't that big of an impact this season, and Monta Ellis would lead their team to a decent record. In the 2012 to 2013 season, however, with Monta Ellis healthy, Klay Thompson continues to be a backup and never emerges as the star. Steph Curry rises to be the leader of the Bucks, but he's still not the superstar that he is today, and they manage to get an 8 seed where they get swept by the Cavs in the first round. The Warriors end up with the 6 seed just like they did in the original NBA and get knocked out. Since both teams finish with about the same record as the original NBA, they both end up with the same draft picks. The Bucks get Giannis, and the Golden State actually didn't have any draft picks, so there's not much of a difference there. In the 2013 to 2014 season, however, this is where big changes occur. The Bucks were the worst team in this season and ended up with the second pick in the draft. In this new NBA, the Bucks end up getting the 8 seed with Steph Curry as their leader and end up getting swept by the Cavs in the first round, but this changes their draft position. They get the 16th pick, and instead of drafting Jabari Parker at number 3, they end up drafting Jusuf Nurkic. Jabari Parker goes to the 76ers, and the Warriors once again have no draft picks. In this NBA, Draymond Green never becomes a star because he doesn't have Steph or Klay to help him, and he remains on the bench behind David Lee. In the 2014 to 2015 season, David Lee stays in Golden State because of their need for a power forward and puts up solid numbers. Monta Ellis is the star player of the Warriors, but he doesn't put up great numbers, and he definitely doesn't put up the numbers that Steph Curry was putting up. Originally, the Warriors finished first in the NBA with a 67-15 record, but without Curry, Klay, and Draymond leading the Warriors, they dropped to an 8th seed. Originally, Steph won the MVP, but without other stars around him, he only manages to lead his team to a 5th seed, and LeBron ends up with his 5th MVP instead. The Bucks get knocked out in the second round by the Cavs, and the Warriors are eliminated in the first round by the Clippers. The Warriors face off with the Rockets in the finals, and LeBron carries his team to victory despite Kyrie and Love injuries. In the 2015 to 2016 season, the Bucks emerge as the top 3 team in the East after developing young talent and building team chemistry for the past 2 seasons. Unfortunately, they are knocked out in the Eastern Conference Finals by a healthy Cavs roster. The Warriors miss the playoffs as their key players Ellis, Lee, and Bogut grow older and decline in production. Kevin Durant leads the Thunder to a 2 seed in the West and wins his second MVP after missing the last season with a broken foot. The Cavs meet the Thunder in the finals after the Thunder overcome the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals, but the healthy Cavs roster is way too much for OKC, and LeBron wins his 4th NBA championship and his 2nd in Cleveland. In the offseason, KD doesn't leave OKC for the Warriors because he can't win with Monta Ellis, David Lee, and Andrew Bogut. he re-signs with OKC in the hopes of leading the Thunder to a championship. The biggest off-season signing ends up being Dwayne Wade to the Bulls, and that brings us to the end of the season. In the 2016 to 2017 season, or this current season, the Bucks compete with the Cavs for the top spot in the East, and Stephen Curry becomes the superstar that he is today, and Giannis Antetokounmpo ends up being a rising star in the NBA. KD and Russ lead the Thunder to the best team in the West, and the Warriors keep on losing games and decide it's time to start rebuilding. If the Warriors traded Steph Curry instead of Monta Ellis, Steph wouldn't be the two-time MVP and first ever unanimous MVP. LeBron would have 5 MVPs and 4 NBA titles, putting him in legit discussions to be the GOAT of the NBA. Clay and Draymond would never be All-Stars because they would live behind David Lee and Monta Ellis, which wouldn't allow them to develop. The Warriors would never blow a 3-1 lead in the finals to the Cavs, and KD would never sign with the Warriors. So think about what the NBA would look like if these events actually did take place. KD would not be the most hated player in the NBA right now. Steph would not be considered the best shooter in NBA history, probably. And the Warriors would not be considered possibly the best ever team in the NBA. Steve Kerr wouldn't be the coach of the year, and the Bucks might be considered one of the top teams in the NBA. Now, these are, of course, all my predictions and my opinions. None of these are necessarily true, but it is interesting to think about what the NBA would have looked like today if Steph Curry would have been traded and Monta Ellis was kept by the Warriors. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll put out content like this every other day. If you want more what if videos, leave your comments in the comment section down below and like this video up. Share this channel, tell your friends about it, share this video, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.